Welcome everybody. It is day 3 of the BOGOs and I'm going to bring on my private user group. Welcome you guys to day 3 of BOGOs, and I am going to try to light meter myself over here just a tiny bit. That's scary. There we go. So I'm going live in 3 different places at once because I don't want to have to do this information over and over and over again. It's a lot, and I'm really excited to talk about it and to share with you some of the things that have happened in my own life that are major and that I cannot even get over. And I'm going to try to convey the importance of these 2 oils without spending too much time. Really want to keep this under about 15-20 minutes, which is hard to do. So I'm going to get going. And so if you're jumping on and you miss anything, that's fine. You can always go back and watch a replay. If you're watching the replay for the first time, let me know you're here. Tag me with any questions you have. And if you have any questions while I'm talking, I probably won't look at them till after I'm done. Now, first things first, the biggest thing that I want to cover is that when we talk about Copaiba and endocannabinoids, people want to say it's better than cannabis, it's this, it's that. There's this whole situation where it's human nature to say something's the best. I'm not getting involved in that. I don't believe that there's any such thing as best, better, anything. If something is the thing for you, it's the thing for you. There are so many options that are, in my opinion, not isolated from each other. So in my personal opinion, Western medicine and Eastern medicine go together. They're all pieces of the puzzle. Essential oils and your doctor go together. They should always go together. We all should be working together, not separately and trying to prove which way is the right way. So when I talk about Copaiba, and I talk about how it's better than CBD oil, I'm talking about the science. I'm not invested in convincing you to ditch your CBD oil if that's where you're at. I want you to add Copaiba. Is everybody understanding what I'm saying? There is no reason that we are not all here. Copaiba is not an either or. Copaiba is an everything, okay? This is an everything tool that everybody needs. It is non-negotiable. And so as I talk about why that is, it might make more sense. So our bodies have evolved with our nature and our surroundings. We are meant to be in the woods. We are meant to be walking. We are meant to be smelling the trees, smelling the essential oils coming off of the plants. When we're cooking our food, we're meant to be absorbing essential oils through the herbs that we're cooking with. We're meant to be doing these things and interacting with our environment. And unfortunately, most of us make it into a complete adulthood without that extreme connection to nature and without understanding why we are so far from it. And in addition to all of this separation, we also have an introduction of a ton of synthetics. So we have an introduction of synthetics in our food. We have synthetics in our environment. Our clothing is synthetic. We have toxins that we burn for enjoyment in our home, right? Like candles, air fresheners, pure toxins. You're literally just making it toxic in your home. So we have interrupted the natural processing. That's what we found out. Plastics, things like this, interrupt our natural functioning. So in addition to being separated, we are now also interrupted. And what we have found is this part of our body that interacts with our environment now has a name, the endocannabinoid system. Now the development and the understanding of the endocannabinoid system is somewhat recent because it was found as they started to study the effects of the cannabis plant, of marijuana, of THC, of CBD. They found this system. The system does not only, right, the name is really unfortunate. It is not a system that only interacts with cannabis or cannabis plants. And it does not mean that anything you take that interacts with your CBD or your endocannabinoid system is going to come up on a drug test, because that's not true. So the study of the cannabis plant was retrofitted, right? Where they were like, well, this has an effect. Let's figure out why. So they were reverse engineering why it happened. They discovered the system. They named it the endocannabinoid system. But it turns out we have tons of dietary things that contribute and affect our endocannabinoid system. So clove, black pepper, melissa, those essential oils all have an effect on our endocannabinoid system. Certain foods have an effect on our endocannabinoid system. THC has an extreme reaction to our endocannabinoid system that is in our brain. So CB1 is the receptor site that THC binds with directly. That causes psychoactive effects. When you have more THC, you have more CB1 interaction, you have more psychoactive effects. When we talk about CBD, people get excited because here you have something that causes an effect on your body that's noticeable, but doesn't give you psychoactive effects because it's not stimulating your CB1. But it's also not binding to your CB2. So CBD oil and CBD compound, that causes other things in the environment to bind with your CB2 receptors. So CBD oil, all these numbers and letters, CBD does not bind to your CB2 receptor sites directly. So what you have to do is go through a processing. This is why CBD is highly dose dependent. It's super focused on where it's sourced, how it's raised, has to have a certain amount of all the different chemical components. And it's also why you will get varying degrees of relief through CBD use. Usually you want THC and CBD present because we know, you may not know, I know, scientists know, I'm teaching it to you now. When you isolate something out of its state and nature, you change its end effects on your body. It is why you cannot take sequestrapines out of frankincense and use them in the same way that you can use a frankincense essential oil. CBD should be present with THC. That is how it should be in our body. Fun note, when CBD is present with THC, it lessens the psychoactive actions on your brain. Okay, so it's more of a modulator, if you will. So it's going to keep the THC from having as bad of effects. Here's the thing. You can't use CBD with THC and function in life. Going to work would be dangerous, driving would be dangerous, doing different things throughout your life is dangerous. Now in the medical world, we know when you start treating something like pain, inflammation, things like that, you can't just treat it when you get home at night, right? You have to treat it all the time. You have to have a complete dosage in your bloodstream all the time to get the action that you want in your body. And you can't have these periods where you're not taking it. So if you can't take it when the THC, you're also not getting the effects that you need. So this is where I am such a huge fan of Copaiba. Copaiba is over 50% of a substance called beta-caryophyllene. Beta-caryophyllene does not bind, my cat is out of control. Jared might need to come get this cat. So beta-caryophyllene does not bind to CB1 ever, so you don't get psychoactive effects. Beta-caryophyllene binds directly to, sorry, Jared, can you come get the cat?
Yeah, what's wrong?
The cat is like knocking everything down.
Daisy.
Real life. So, beta-caryophyllene, no, I know she is. Beta-caryophyllene, let me light meter because that looked crazy too. Okay, so beta-caryophyllene responds to the CB2. It binds to them directly. It's not a modulator. It's not in there hoping that you have the right hormones, hoping that you have the right chemical components, right? Which is what CB2 does, or CBD oil. So CBD oil is very dependent on what you got going on already, right? So if you don't have what's required to act on the CB2 receptors, CBD oil won't always work. Where beta-caryophyllene doesn't require that. Sarah says this is why I have dogs. No joke. Well, this Daisy Cat thinks this desk is hers. So, so anyway, beta caryophyllene directly binds to the CB2 receptor sites. This is huge because we have CB2 receptor sites everywhere in our body. So when you're talking about Copaiba, you're not just talking about the respiratory system. You're not just talking about the cardiovascular system or the digestive system or the immune system. You're talking about literally everything in your whole body. Literally. Your whole body is affected by something that can stimulate your CB2 receptor sites directly. So if you have things which, okay, I'm staying compliant. So if you have things that cause long-standing issues in your body, that cause discomfort, that we're just gonna let you guys understand what I'm saying. So if you have overwhelming occasional aches and pains, if you have these kinds of things going on in your body, you need it. But here's the thing, you need it for so many other things that you don't even realize. Because back to what I said before about how we're supposed to be in the forest, we're supposed to be in the garden, we're supposed to be interacting with endocannabinoids all day long, every day. Your whole body will function better when you have something that can directly bind to your CB2 sites. So we're talking digestive. We're talking you will breathe the way you're supposed to breathe, digest the way you're supposed to digest, sleep the way you're supposed to sleep. Your joints are going to function the way that they're supposed to function. There is incredible research coming out. There's just been a recent exciting study that said that osteoblasts, if you don't know what those are, that's okay. They're basically what help us form bone, teeth and bone. And osteoblast functions are dose dependent on Copaiba and caryophyllene, right? So the more beta caryophyllene that's in our body, the more CB2 receptor sites are turned on, the more we are going to create a matrix within our bones that is healthy. So our body functions better in ways you can't even understand. So when we're talking about Copaiba, you could go, there's been over 70 peer-reviewed studies on Copaiba and its therapeutic effects in our body. So you can go wild on the research on this. You don't have to take my word for it. And you can also Google the Roseman University found that doTERRA's Copaiba is actually one of the only Copaibas on the market that exhibits therapeutic effects the way ours does. So whether it's because some companies add synthetic beta caryophyllene, right, which is taking something out of its natural environment and trying to insert it somewhere else, right, which is why THC and CBD separated don't work as well. So they're either putting in synthetics or their sourcing is not good and their product does not actually contain the amount of beta caryophyllene you need. So that's the big deal about Copaiba. That's why everyone is hearing about Copaiba. We have people just in my downline that are finding extreme relief from anxiousness, but also extreme relief from feeling sad and low, right? Extreme relief from their joint discomfort. And we're finding it's like we put Copaiba in everything. And it's a huge joke because we'll run out of oils here at home and I'll be like, do we have another bottle of lavender? And Jared will say, no, but we got 32 bottles of Copaiba in here, right? Like, it's ridiculous. We have a backlog of Copaiba. I order my limit on the account. So you have a limit, a monthly limit that you can order through doTERRA. I get my limit every single month since it came out. I order Copaiba every month. It doesn't matter what's going on because I know its power. I know what it is truly worth. And it is something that you don't want to be out of. My kids use it. If my kids get hurt, if my kids have an ache, a pain, if my kids are starting to pick something up, if my kids are recovering, one drop on the tongue, one drop under the tongue, anxiousness, tempers, right? These Copaiba soft gels that just came out, like My kids were so happy because they get really sick of having to taste the Copaiba, and now they can all take soft gels. It's major in ways that we don't even completely understand, but you will find the relief, and it is so amazing. So when we're talking about Copaiba and we're talking about the beta-caryophyllene, don't underestimate it. If you are skeptical, research more into it. Don't underestimate it. Don't think it's just this thing that like essential oils are excited about talking about. It's just one of those things that everybody needs and everyone should be talking about. Everyone should be using every day, all day. And the great thing is that it's not really an intense oil. So like I said, my 8, 10, and 13-year-olds use it safely. It's in our Kids Blend Rescuer, right? Which is the kids version of Deep Blue. And so it's in the Rescuer Kids Blend for a reason. It is gentle and it is something we can use with a lot of confidence, right? So just really get into this. And if you have never used it, you want it now. Because the two things that we're talking about, somebody said, Jen, my kids can't swallow soft gels, same benefits from topical use. No, not the same benefits from topical use. So you'll want to either get it under the tongue or put it in a drink, right? Something like that. You really do want internal usage of the Copaiba, and you really do want it internally for a lot of the things. Topical use will be great for things that are topical, but topical application, even though things will go systemic, the amount of it that goes systemic is not the same as what will go if you do sublingual or if you take it internally. So you really do want to try to get it inside the body. Even apple juice, it doesn't have much taste, to be honest. I've not had a hard time getting my kids to take it, just FYI. Yeah, yogurt, Kristen, good. That's a totally good idea. All right, so that is Copaiba. That is, I could talk for a lot longer about Copaiba, but I'm not going to because you get the picture. It's not one of those things that's like, this is a great oil for this. Copaiba is an everyday oil for everybody because we should be exposed to more endocannabinoids in our environment and we're not. So this is something that you want to be introducing into your life on a daily basis because life, right? So just remembering that this is more of a daily integration thing than it is I have a symptom, how do I manage it? I have this, how do I manage it? Although if you look at studies about Copaiba, wink, wink, everybody, right? There are studies about very specific things that Copaiba and beta-caryophyllene help with that will blow your mind. But that's not for me to talk about. Next thing I want to talk about, because we do still love Deep Blue. We do still love Deep Blue. And I will say, for all of my friends that are my nurse friends that started this business with me, I was an RN, an ICU, cardiac ICU nurse. Then I worked in a surgical ICU out in San Diego. And then I retired from nursing altogether. But Deep Blue is by far my nurse, doctor, skeptic product that everybody loves. Deep Blue. You could literally think essential oils and natural living was totally fake and you would still not be able to deny Deep Blue. Like, my parents still are not on board with natural remedies and they understand Deep Blue, right? So Deep Blue as an oil is one of the oils that I would say built my entire business and made me start thinking about how essential oils get down to the underlying issues behind where we're having aches and pains, right? So it's referred to as the soothing blend, and it is going to soothe us, make us happy. It's going to help with tension, any kind of aches, pains, things like that. We kind of use it, if anybody remembers the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, right? It's our Windex in this house, and we will totally use it for anything. Deep Blue for sinus congestion, Deep Blue for pesky cough, right? We're like, what else do we have? Put some Deep Blue on it, right? Like, this kind of, something's weird, put Deep Blue on it. Or I have a brute, put Deep Blue on it. We'll see if it's still a problem in an hour, right? So Deep Blue is kind of that thing in our house that we use for everything. So we make roller balls out of it. We add it to creams. We add it to rubs. We add it to lotion. One of my favorite things, my kids, we have a Deep Blue rub, doTERRA does. And so it's pre-mixed into a lotion. It's a little too strong for my youngest kids. They don't like how much it tingles. Yes, period cramps, right? All the things, anything that's happening. I've used it for like toothaches, ear congestion, like just give me that Deep Blue. So it's a little strong, the Deep Blue rub for my younger kids. So I just take this unscented lotion from doTERRA, put a couple drops of Deep Blue and put it on that way, or 1 drop of Deep Blue depending on where on the body you're putting it, right? But it's one of those things that just knocks it out of the park every time. My husband is a disc golfer and he carries extra tubes of it in his disc golf bag because people will be throwing, I'm not a disc golfer, they'll be throwing the disc of golf and things hurt. And he'll say, put this on. And then they separate on the course and those people come back around, find him, and they're like, what did you give me? Seriously, because it's gone, right? I've had people tell me something was like achy at a class and I put, the Deep Blue rub, I have them put it on them, or I'll put the oil on with Copaiba, by the way. My favorite is to take a little bit of lotion or a little bit of carrier oil, a drop of Deep Blue and a drop of Copaiba. Slam dunk. You put it on and then the people are like jumping up towards the end of class like, I'm in no pain. So it's a huge soother, huge soothing blend. And the reason why, it's got major heavy hitting components in it. And I got 2 things I really want to talk about. So it has wintergreen, camphor bark, blue tansy oil, blue chamomile, helichrysum, and osmanthus. So the things that I want to talk about, because these come up a lot when people are afraid to put something on their body, right? And I get it a lot too, because I'm like 6.5 months pregnant and people ask me all the time if they can use Deep Blue pregnant. And I'm like, can you be pregnant without using Deep Blue? That's the question you should be asking yourself, because I don't know that that's accurate. So this blend is perfectly blended. doTERRA does a really good job, and it's something that I really do trust because they have such a huge science department. And I've met the owners, and I've personal use now coming up on February. In February, I will have been with doTERRA for 6 years. Crazy town. So I've seen it, I know it, I get it. So one of the things is that they've expertly blended this so it's balanced and it's not too strong. There is a reason doTERRA does not sell camphor individually, and there's a reason why when it does sell things like blue tansy individually, they're very careful to warn us about not internal usage, not too much, to dilute it, and so forth. So wintergreen is like 99% methyl salicylate. So if you know what that does, you know what it's good for. That's actually the disruptor of the inflammatory process, right? So when you're using something like Deep Blue, you're not just getting the sensation. So when you use things like Biofreeze or you use things like Bengay, you're getting a sensation that will override the sensation, the discomfort sensation, right? So you're trying to override and trick your brain into decreasing the inflammation, the inflammatory process happening there. It's trying to like work around. When you use essential oils, they're getting at what's going on in the tissues, okay? And so wintergreen in this blend is there to really help disrupt the inflammatory process. And it really helps when it comes to bone, muscle, and joints. Bone discomfort is one of the hardest discomforts to treat, topically especially. So this is where a lot of people turn to opioids, is for bone pain and bone discomfort and long-standing things. So this is a really great thing to be using to avoid that. Another thing in here is camphor. Camphor's like scary town to people, right? Because camphor has been banned in aromatherapy for decades because there's all these bad side effects that can come out of they're like tannins in camphor. We use white camphor. So the things that cause concern with camphor generally it's non-existent in our camphor. We use a white camphor. So everything that you would hear about camphor is not true about white camphor. So if you have anything come up where people are afraid because it says camphor, just remember that it's not the same. And it matters. It matters what variation, it matters what species, right? It all matters, and ours is not the one. And so camphor really will help, yes, does with nerve pain, headaches, different things like that. And so it also has peppermint. Peppermint's long known for helping to soothe tissues. The ones I want to talk about are blue tansy and blue chamomile. So much good research into them supporting our body naturally. So when we're feeling an ache, a pain, the sensations that we're feeling, there's something underlying always. So whether it's hormone related, toxin related, gut related, injury related, whatever, there's so many other things going on underneath the surface. And so Deep Blue has all these different components, like the blue tansy and the blue chamomile. Those are like major oils in helping to combat the inflammatory process, to kind of get in there and disrupt it. And it's also really good at helping the joints that are affected from a longer term inflammatory response. You'll have to figure out what I'm saying with that one. And then in addition to those heavy hitting inflammatory disruptors, we have helichrysum. And so what helichrysum does in this blend is basically send out all the signals to your brain to send more healing, to send more blood flow, to improve the processing of what's going on in the tissues, right? So the natural order of healing is that there's an injury, and then the body sends the inflammation to the site, right? It gets the site inflamed. The inflammation signals your brain to send help. Your body sends help, and then it heals, right? That's like the short version. You're welcome. I really wanted to go into that, but I'm not going to for time purposes. But so what helichrysum does is it helps to modulate that whole response. So like, it's like the project manager. It's like, get in here, get in here, get in here. Yep, send help, do this, do that. And it like sends it all out. So helichrysum's a major player. Osmanthus is also really good at helping the blood flow, helping move things along, helping to get all of the components to the site that need to be there, and helping to get all the waste products from the site out, helping to make sure if there's any environmental things that are causing further issues, it's helping to kind of shuttle everything there. So it's all this beautiful game, right? And they're blended perfectly to bring everything to the site to get you feeling better. So if you are here, I have 3 cameras going. So my email list and my public page, you may not get to see this, but in my private group for BOGOs, we are doing a huge thing about sharing your own personal testimonials. Because with Deep Blue and Copaiba both, people have wildly awesome testimonials, and a lot of times they're not compliant. And there's no way to say them in any way that is compliant other than like, I'm healed, right? So you just want to, if you're one of my customers, make sure you're in that group. If not, get into the group that you're from. I'm sure that you have a silver, gold, platinum, diamond upline that's doing some event for BOGOs, and people are sharing their testimonials. So find your people, get talking, ask questions, ask people who are using it, like, what are you seeing? What results have you seen? Get the testimonials, because that's the thing you need. The research isn't there yet. Our Copaiba is only 2 years old, and ours is the best. And so we don't even know what it's capable of, right? So get out there and ask questions, because the proof is in the pudding. I don't even care. I don't even care about science anymore when it comes to Copaiba. I really don't. It's really funny. Even right before this call, I was talking to Sarah Jansen, and I was like, I just want to tell people that they just need it. You just need it. I don't know if there's anything else I can say other than it's ridiculous to wait, and that things that you don't even realize are a problem in your life are going to completely shift. When I look at what Copaiba and Serenity Soft Gels combined are doing for my 13-year-old, like, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And the Copaiba Soft Gels specifically, they're just easier to stay on top of, right? And it's easier. It's just huge. So I'm going to stop there. I'm really excited that everyone's here and learning. And I'm really excited for BOGO Week to continue. And everyone on my public page, I will see you guys later. I hope that was all helpful and not too long. And thanks for joining me.